I just want to welcome you all. My name is Julie Dobrow. I'm the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at the School of the Arts. I am also a very proud alum of the Theater Management and Producing program from a long time ago, but I've been hanging around the School of the Arts for a long time. It's a really very special place, and so happy that you all are interested in joining us. First, I'm going to introduce my colleagues from the Admissions and Financial Aid Office who are here on this call. First, we have Kenny Wong, who is our Director of Admissions and Financial Aid. Say
Hi,
hi, Kenny, so
everybody.
they can see you.
Hi.
And then we have Niquette Johnson, who is our Admissions and Financial Aid Officer.
Hello, everyone.
So it will be the three of us on the call tonight. We have a short presentation that we're going to go through, which will hopefully answer most, if not all, of your questions. And then we will have time for a Q&A. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You can also reserve them and raise your hand, either your real hand or your Zoom hand, once the presentation is over. So without further ado, I'm going to load this PowerPoint, and hopefully I will not mess it up. Give me 1 second.
And be careful driving there, Chris.
Oh, all right. Can you all see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Everyone see this? Okay. All right. Let me just make this a little bit smaller so I can see you all. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, so this is the admissions and financial aid team. Three of us, we just introduced ourselves. We also have Tori Sheffer, who's the admissions assistant. If you've sent any questions into the office, chances are it was Tori who responded to you. She's not on the call tonight because she really deals just with admissions stuff. But we are a team of four, small but mighty, and we are here to answer any questions that you have throughout the process of your application. Why is that not going? Okay. So tuition and fees. All of the MFA programs require 2 years of full-time coursework at the full tuition rate. And students who are in theater, film, or writing, if you stay for your third year, and film and theater students always do, for writing students, it's optional. The third year is called research arts, which is a status that's still considered full-time, but the tuition is greatly reduced because you are not taking full-time classes. So the tuition rate is like 8 or 9% of what the rate is the first 2 years. But for international students in particular, you maintain full-time status in your third year. The visual arts program and sound art program, those are both only 2-year programs. So you graduate after the 2 years. There's also fees that are assessed in addition to tuition, which is the health services fee, medical insurance, and the university services and support fee, among other small fees. So medical insurance can be waived if you have proof of comparable coverage from a US-based healthcare provider. And there's easy instructions on how to do that on our website, and we can send you that as well. The tuition rate, if you want to see what they currently are, here is the website. The tuition increases around 4% every year. Our one MA program that we have, which is Film and Media Studies, has 1 year at the full tuition rate, and then one semester, which is called extended residence when you're writing your thesis, and that is also greatly reduced. So this is the most important thing that I'm going to say this evening, and please, please take this to heart. The School of the Arts admissions process is need blind, so please do not hesitate to apply for financial aid if you need it. This is 100% true. The faculty committees that review your application and make the admissions decisions do not have access to your financial aid documents. So we often have students who will decide not to apply for financial aid because they think that they have better chances of getting in if they don't. It is not true. Please, you have the exact same chance whether or not you apply for financial aid. So if you have need, please apply. It will not affect your chance of getting in. So, how do you apply for financial aid? Well, if you're a US citizen or a permanent resident, we ask that you submit a FAFSA, and many of you probably know what that is from undergraduate. That's the federal aid application. It's due to us on February 3rd, and the SOA school code is 002707. It's really important that you put that down because Columbia has lots of different schools, but you want to make sure it's going to the School of the Arts. So that the FAFSA is required for US citizens and permanent residents. There's a second document that all students who are applying for financial aid for scholarship support are asked to submit. So that would be US citizens, permanent residents, and international students. It's our own document. It's called the School of the Arts Financial Aid Application. It has the same deadline, which is February 3rd, and you can find that through the application portal. So the same place that you're submitting your regular application, you just start another application and you'll see School of the Arts financial aid application. Again, both of them are due on February 3rd. So what are the types of financial aid that we offer? There's scholarships, there's work opportunities, there's federal loans, and there's private loans. We will go through them all right now. So scholarships. The scholarships that we offer tend to range from around $10,000 a year to approximately $60,000 a year. There are very, very few, if any, full tuition scholarships, what people call free rides. If you need a free ride and you definitely cannot come without it, you can certainly still apply, but I don't want to get your hopes up. We want to manage expectations. There are very few free rides, and some years we don't have any at all. The average scholarship is around $30,000 a year. And the amount that you are offered is determined through a combination of need, which is determined by the financial aid documents that we just discussed, and merit, which is determined by the admissions committee review of your application. So there's a need component and a merit component. If you have no need but have high merit, you likely will not get any funding. If you have, no high need and low merit, you'll probably still get something, but you may not get one of the highest awards. All scholarships are renewable in the second year, assuming good academic and behavioral standing. We do have some specialized scholarships for veterans. So if you are a veteran, please make sure we know that. There's a place on the application you can check. And there's no scholarships for research arts students. So if you continue on to that third year, which writing and film students do, and theater and film students do, and some writing students, there's no scholarships in that third year because the tuition is so much less than it is in the first two. All right. So work opportunities. If you are a U.S. citizen and a permanent resident that has submitted a FAFSA, you may be eligible for work study. Those are positions that are partially funded by the U.S. government, which is why they're restricted to citizens and permanent residents. That is determined by the FAFSA submission, so you have to be eligible for that work study funding. We also have what we call service positions. Those are within the School of the Arts. They're positions ranging from faculty assistants to being on the marketing team to working in the digital media center, those types of things. All of our students are eligible for those jobs, including international students. You apply for them online, and we'll tell you more about those when you arrive in the fall. Hopefully that you'll be joining us then. And those positions range from about 23 an hour to 25 an hour. There are also other positions within Columbia, within Columbia as a whole, which students can apply for. Some of them are work study and some of them are open to everyone. And the maximum amount you can work is 20 hours a week while class is in session. There's also some teaching positions that are usually for second and third year students. Some of the programs have them, some of them don't, but that is another way that you can make money during the time that you are here. Federal loans. So this is for U.S. citizens and permanent residents only. The federal loan is determined by your FAFSA submission. Anyone who submits a FAFSA and is eligible can receive what's called a federal direct unsubsidized loan. It's $20,500 a year maximum. And as I said before, your FAFSA submission will also help determine whether or not you are eligible for work study. So for those of you who have been following the news, there has been a change in the federal loan eligibility for graduate students. With the One Big Beautiful Bill that was passed in July, the Graduate Plus loan was eliminated. This loan was a loan that many of our domestic students used to help cover the cost of attendance, up to the cost of attendance. So this is for things like living expenses, for anything that the $20,500 a year loan did not cover. Unfortunately, this loan is going away as of July 1st. So your class, your incoming class, will not be eligible for the Graduate Plus loan. The good news is that Columbia is working, and actually this is our next slide. Columbia is working very closely with a group of private lenders to devise a loan product that is specific to Columbia students that hopefully will be eligible and should be in place by the time that you guys are arriving next fall. So the hope is that this private loan will close the gap between what the federal direct unsubsidized loan can fund and anything else that you need funding for up to the cost of attendance. We're working with these lenders to come up with favorable rates to make sure that the credit check is not too stringent. We're hoping for multiple repayment options, et cetera. So I don't have any more specific information for you now, but we will know more in the next couple weeks/months. And this should be in place by the time that you guys arrive. And international students, for the most part, are not eligible for private loans in the US unless you have a US-based cosigner. So if you have a relative who's willing to cosign on your behalf, then you would be eligible for these private loans as well. All right, so what are some other sources of funding? We have emergency aid, and that is, of course, for things that come up that are of an emergent nature, something like a house fire or, an immediate loss of income, through something unexpected, that type of thing. The emergency aid is actually distributed out of our Office of Student Affairs. We have travel grants. The dean has generously funded has some funding for travel opportunities. So you guys submit through the Office of Student Affairs for that as well, and you can get money to help support travel for any projects that you're working on. We have production grants. They're mostly for our film students, but there are other opportunities as well to help you fund the thesis work that you're doing while you're here. There are awards and prizes, and there's outside scholarships and fellowships. Unfortunately, we don't have a particularly robust database of outside scholarships and fellowships that we can offer to you, but I recommend that's the type of research that you start doing now. Whether or not you wind up at Columbia or another school, you can never start too early to start looking at outside funding opportunities such as scholarships and fellowships. All right. Oop, there we go. Any further questions? This is the email address. This goes to the financial aid office. It goes to me and Kenny and Niquette. One of us can get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, please feel free to reach out with any questions that you may have that we didn't answer in this presentation. Here we go. One more slide. Don't forget to submit your financial aid applications. And again, please submit if you need support. You will not in any way reduce your chances of getting in. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Kenny is monitoring our chat, and we will see what kinds of questions we have. I don't know if there's anything in there yet. Feel free to either put them in the chat or you can raise your hand or your Zoom hand. All right, let's see. All right, Malikwa?
Hello.
Hi there.
Sorry, I'm traveling right now, so I can't come. I don't think it would be appropriate for me to come on camera.
No worries. Be careful. I hope you're not driving.
No, thank you so much. I have been really curious. I know you said you don't have too much more information about the loan situation, but was there anything that like you didn't include? Because I recently just found out about this now, like as I'm finishing my film application. I was like, wait, so we can't have like the student loans anymore? So I was just wondering about the rates or, the repayment situation as regards to private loans. I've never taken out a private loan before, so that has been like a point of stress in the application process. I can't lie. Just wondering if you had any more clarity or just information on that. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to do this session, and we wanted to do it now because there are these changes that are happening. The Graduate Plus loan has been around for a long time, and graduate students have relied upon it because it's a federal loan, and therefore, it had less stringent requirements in terms of applying than a private loan did. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that particular loan. It's gone away as of July. However, my understanding, and unfortunately, I can't give you any interest rates or any specific information because this is right now we're in the process of negotiating with these private lenders. But the idea is to have, basically a substitute for what the Graduate Plus loan did for students and what it provided. So the idea is to make sure that the rates are competitive, the interest rates are competitive, that it's not much more difficult to be approved in terms of past credit. And as I said before, even some additional repayment options rather than just the standard. All of this is in the process of being negotiated. And I'll say this, unfortunately, the elimination of this loan is affecting all schools across the country. So this is not just a Columbia issue. I would not let this prevent you from applying, whether it's to Columbia or to other schools. I think most schools are in the process of trying to figure out how to replace this loan that has now gone away. There still is the basic federal loan, this $20,500 a year. So that has not gone away, and that will still have similar terms to the past. But yeah, just stay tuned. As soon as we have more information, we're going to make sure it's up on our website. And obviously, if you're admitted, we're going to have, many discussions as to how to help you fund your education and finance things. So we just don't have that information quite yet, but we will soon in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
You're very
Sorry, I'll
welcome.
pass it to the next person right now. I just had one more thing to say.
Okay, you can say it.
Um, the average scholar, like as far as the scholarships go, is it like you get a scholarship from the School of Arts and then your specialized program, or it's just one scholarship from Columbia? Is that appropriate
It's
to
just
me?
one scholarship. So yes, you would get one scholarship, whether it's from, if you're an actor, it would be from the theater program. If it's, but it's all from the School of the Arts. So yeah, it's just one scholarship.
Okay. And you said the average is 20,
The average
thirty
is around
thousand.
30,000 a year. They
Okay.
range from about 10 to 60. So it really depends. I would say there's probably more in the 20 and 30 range than there are in the 60 range, but there are some.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Looks like Hale is next.
Yes, hi.
Hi
Thank you again.
there.
Thank you for all this information. It's been a huge help.
Of course.
I applied for the film, and I think you kind of answered it already, but I was going to ask is like for all the exterior resources financially, do you recommend we do it before or after we admit it, or like that we get that information?
I would do it now.
Okay,
Even just, yeah, I mean, some of the fellowships may ask you where you've been admitted, but at least I would do all the research now to see, what is out there and what you might qualify for. You can never start too soon to investigating outside scholarships and fellowships. So yeah, I would get on it now if you can.
Yeah,
okay, good. That
definitely don't wait until
answers
you're
my
admitted
question.
either, because a lot of times students wait until they're admitted before they even apply for anything, and by that time, a lot of deadlines have passed already.
Got you.
You definitely want to do it as soon as possible.
Cause okay, because I've been doing that already, so I was making sure I was
Great.
perfect.
That's
Cool.
You're
great.
ahead of the game.
Very good.
All right, cool. Good to know. All right, thank you so much.
You bet. Jingwen?
Yeah, I just have a question, I guess, regarding the status. So let's say if I'm not a U.S. citizen and permanent resident now, but I will become one like either before the semester start or like after the admission. So how would that work?
So when you say before the semester starts, you mean before you arrive at Columbia in fall of 26, or you think it would happen while
Yes.
you're here?
Before I arrive at Columbia.
So before you arrive, if you submit the documents, then you should be eligible for the federal aid. Once you're a citizen, once you have a green card, permanent resident, then you can submit the documents and you should be eligible. It really depends on the timing. Sometimes it's hard to predict. But yes, if you're eligible at that time, then you should absolutely apply and you should receive the aid.
Yeah, so by that time the deadline will be passed, right? What I'm saying is
The
so
deadline for the
that was
FAFSA?
February.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would just submit the application once you can. So you should
Yes.
submit the School of the Arts application
Mhm.
by the deadline, which is February 3rd, and then the FAFSA you can submit once you're eligible.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Thank you.
Great, you're welcome. Fred?
Hi. Boy, I'm nervous. I never get nervous, but I'm nervous about this. Like being
Uh, don't
older
be
and
nervous. We're here to help.
older and applying back to school. So, so I think I've heard loud and clear like the advice, hey, start thinking about even as you're applying, like thinking about how am I going to fund this? What do those sources look like, etc. Do you have any, and I know that you'd already said this too, like there isn't really a good definitive source, but if you are like, so I am starting late, like unlike some of the other students like here. So do you have any recommendations on how to like search for some of like those funding sources and some of those fellowships like and things like right now?
I mean, things like ChatGPT are super helpful in this regard. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone says, AI is kind of evil and it can be, but but I think in this regard, I would go on to ChatGPT, which is free. I mean, you can get access to it. And type in, fellowship scholarships for film school, or, scholarships for graduate school, scholarships for acting students. A lot of times, scholarships are for a particular demographic. So, scholarships for students from a particular country or of a particular, what is it, ethnicity or religion, or, sometimes scholarships are geared toward a particular segment of the population. But yeah, I mean, I think any good, Google search or ChatGPT search should start generating things that you might be able to apply for.
Got it. So just Google away. So okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Maggie?
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, for hosting this. This is so nice. And then I also wanted to say, I was wondering if there's like a limit on how many TA, like what the TA positions look like for arts applicants and kind of what that looks like because I know a lot of people are here for film and,
Are you, which
Yes.
program are you applying to, Maggie?
I'm applying to the visual arts program with a concentration in painting and drawing.
Okay. Visual arts is actually one of the programs where every student will TA once a year. So
Okay,
every
perfect.
every
Yeah, that
every
is
visual
like,
arts students will have a TA position and a service position as well. You can
okay,
decline,
good.
but every student will be guaranteed one. But for film students, you have to apply for that. You don't get a TA position in the first year for film, but if you apply, you can apply during your first year to either TA your second year or your research arts year. Writing has some limited ones that you get when you're admitted, and theater doesn't have anymore, right, Julie?
Yeah, there's very few theater TA positions, unfortunately. The reason is that we don't, the theater undergraduate program is actually through Barnard College. It's not through Columbia. So
Yeah.
our students don't have the opportunity to TA in theater, but they do, so everyone in visual arts has the opportunity, and that's a guarantee. And then some film and some writing students will get a chance to TA as well.
Okay, and then I also just had a follow-up question to piggyback off that. Um, is there a limit to TA and work study hours as a first year?
Yes.
The total number of hours, oh, go ahead, Kenny.
Okay, no, every student is limited to 20 hours a week of work.
Okay,
So you can't work more than 20 hours a week. So is considered 5 hours of work a week. So
okay,
you could work another 15 hours on top of that.
okay,
During
perfect.
during holiday breaks, like winter break and the summer, you can work 40 hours because there's no classes.
Okay,
Other than that, you can work up to 20 hours. That goes the same for international students. So domestic and international is the same.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Kenny. Thank you so much, Julie.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Sean?
Just to clarify, I guess the main question I wanted to ask was, so because the financial application is due in February, that doesn't like stop your main application from being reviewed, right?
Not at
Okay,
all.
cool.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons you can tell that the faculty does not even see them because many of the regular applications are due, a month or so before the financial aid application. So yes, your application will be sent through to the admissions committee as soon as we receive it. Well, once the deadline has passed, and then the financial aid review is done completely separately by our office. Oh, all right. Ngozi? Ngozi? Oh, I think maybe you're on mute. I don't know where you went.
Hi everyone. Good morning.
Hi there.
Yeah, my my first question is, this scholarship aid, is it for the whole courses in Colombia or just School of the Arts? And then secondly, who gets to decide where, for instance, now if I am successful, let me use myself as an example. Is it me that gets to decide that the scholarship aid should be channeled to my tuition fee, or the team themselves get to decide where the scholarship aid is channeled to? Then thirdly, I want to ask, is there anything like hardship loan aside the private loan? Is there anything like hardship loan open for international students? Thank you very much.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to go backwards, I think, just so because I'm not sure I remember the first question. Maybe Kenny does. So there's very limited loans available in the U.S. for international students. Unfortunately, Columbia has some very there's a few of them, but they're very limited. So I would certainly not assume that you're going to be able to fund your education through a loan unless you have a U.S. based co-signer. The scholarships are actually taken off the tuition amount. So your tuition is billed through your student account, and then whatever scholarship you're offered is deducted from that. So then you only owe what the difference is. And what was your first question again?
But I said, is the scholarship aid, is it only for School of the Arts or for all courses in Columbia University?
Okay, so the scholarships that we give out are only for School of the Arts students. There are a few scholarships that are Columbia wide. There's very few of them, and they're very, very specific. It's like for students who went to undergraduate school in Vermont, like that's one of them. Like there, so we call them their interschool fellowships. We send out information about that to admitted students. And if you happen to fall into one of those categories, you can absolutely apply for them. But most of the scholarships that you would receive are through School of the Arts.
Oh, okay. Thank
So
you very much.
oh, you're welcome. Fenelon, did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you.
Welcome.
I'm from Brazil, and I have two questions, please. As an international student, do you guys offer any support for finding accommodation, or something related to this, or do I need to find by myself? And the second question is about it's a quick question regarding the scholarships and the work opportunities. If I apply, for example, for the scholarships, can I also apply for work opportunities or no?
Yes, so absolutely. Your second question, you can apply for both scholarships and work opportunities. Columbia is a very expensive school in a very expensive city. So we want you to have whatever resources are available to help you afford to come here. In terms of housing for international students and for all students, Columbia does have graduate student housing. We urge everyone to apply for it if you think that you want to live on campus. Not everyone will get it, but it tends to be the people who are coming from further away have a better shot. So international students tend to get the housing first, and then people from the West Coast, and then gradually getting closer and closer. If you already live in New York City, you can still apply, but it's unlikely that you're going to get Columbia housing. Columbia also has an off-campus housing resource where it's a website that gives you information to local buildings, local landlords where many of our students have lived, and you would get access to that as well. And we also have Facebook groups and what did we use this year? We
used Slack, I think, this year. Yeah.
We put all of our admitted students together, and that's a great way to find roommates and if you're looking for apartments together, that type of thing. So you'll get to know your cohort, before you ever arrive on campus.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Brian.
Yes, hello, good evening. My question is related to the Theater Management and Producing program. I understand there are three internships involved, so I'm curious if those count as the work study or the 20-hour cap. And then my second question is, I'm also a lawyer, and I know there are classes available through the law school. I'm wondering if work study is also available through the law school or the library, or TAing for adjunct professors, attorneys, things like that.
Okay, so the first part of it, the internships do not count toward the 20-hour limit. You may not have time to work in addition to the internship, but those do not count toward it. And for the theater program, those concentrations that have internship requirements, which is everything but acting, you actually get a stipend for those internships. It's around $1,300 per internship that you would get once the internship is completed. So you're actually getting some kind of funding for that as well. That's unique to theater. The other question in terms of working with the law school as an adjunct or as a TA, I'm not sure that anyone has done that. I would recommend that you reach out to Stephen Chakelson, who is the head of the Theater Management and Producing concentration. He's also a lawyer himself. He also did the joint JD MFA program. He would know whether there's any potential opportunities of working with the law school or not. But in terms of work study, there's work study throughout campus. So it's very possible you could get a job at the law school library or, somewhere over there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Kenny, are you answering or Nicole's guys getting some of the questions in the chat?
Nicole's answering, and
Awesome. Thank you.
someone will probably read out some of them later.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to keep going to the hands that are raised. H. Lawson.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. I was wondering, so earlier you mentioned that these scholarships don't cover classes in outside the School of the Arts, but at the information session, they did say that students were encouraged from the visual arts program to take classes outside of the School of the Arts. For interdisciplinary, is that like an extenuating circumstance where like it does cover or?
So I must have misunderstood the previous question. You can take classes all over Columbia, depending upon what your program says, and the scholarship covers whatever classes you take. So
Okay, fab.
full-time is considered between 12 and 18 credits per semester. And so many students will have between 12 and 15 credits that are required, but then they'll have a spot for an elective or two. And you're usually, depending upon your program, but you're encouraged to take classes across Columbia. Oh, sorry, that was my dog. You're encouraged to take classes across Columbia, and those absolutely would be counted as part of the tuition. So,
Okay, fabulous. Just
To further clarify that also, um, what we mean by, scholarships don't are only for the School of the Arts, meaning if you apply to the School of the Arts and you apply to like journalism and you get like a
mm,
5,000 like a $50,000 scholarship from the School of the Arts, but you're admitted to journalism, you don't get that $50,000 going to journalism.
got it.
That's what we mean by that.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure. Thank you.
Louisa?
so sorry,
Yes, hello.
home
Hi.
and the dog is
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry about that. This is Louisa. I joined a few minutes late and I wanted to know where I can find the School of the Arts application. I was also interested in knowing for our attendance, is there any kind of waiver for the applications for attending the meeting? I know some schools do offer this. I also had, I'm sorry to bombard you guys. I did want to know, sorry, I know there was one more thing. Well, pretty much just how to apply for those TA positions. If there's a certain department that I would have to like contact directly, or is it pretty much through admissions that scholarships are awarded? I also did hear you mention a specific thing that could be state-based or very particular to your, kind of positioning. And I wanted to know if there's a newsletter for those scholarships, or is that something that you kind of receive just based on your specific standing? I think you mentioned a state, like if you lived in Vermont or something specific.
Okay, so the state ones, the Vermont one is just an example of what we call our inter-school fellowships, which are fellowships that are any student at any Columbia school is eligible for. So most of our scholarships are school specific. So the ones that you would receive are from the School of the Arts. However, there are, I think it's, I don't know, 6 or 8 scholarships that are Columbia wide. I was just giving an example. I know one of them is for someone who's went to undergraduate school in Vermont. There's a few others, they're very specific, but that's the type of thing you wouldn't apply for until you're actually admitted as a student. And we send out that information. I think your other question was about TA positions. Also, TA positions, there's a few very, very few TA positions that are awarded to incoming writing students. You actually do them in your second year, but you're awarded as part of the application process. Other than that, the TA positions you have to apply for as a first year student. And again, we would send out information about that as well. And you had one other question. I'm sorry, I can't remember what the other part of your question was.
So regarding those specific scholarships that you said, especially like the living in Vermont, for example, how do you get that notification? Is there like some kind of newsletter that you get for that, or do you just kind of reach out to the people depending on whether they reach those requirements? My other question was, is scholarship based on general admission? Like, is it just kind of awarded that way, or is there a link or a certain department that I can contact to get those applications?
Okay, so the ones that are the specific, these inter-school fellowships, we would send you information about that. We send it to all admitted students, but that's not, you wouldn't hear about that until probably September or October. And there's very few of them and they're very restrictive. So I certainly wouldn't count on being eligible for any of those. You may be, but very few students are. The general scholarships, you just have to submit the financial aid applications that I was talking about before, and then you're automatically considered for them. So you'll see on the application, it says, do you want to be considered for institutional scholarships? Definitely check yes. If you don't check yes, then you will not be considered for scholarships. And you have to check yes on that, and you have to submit the financial aid applications. Then you will automatically be considered for any School of the Arts based scholarships that we have.
Thank you.
And also, if there's multiple reminders throughout the application for admission, if you say no to scholarship funding, we're going to remind you, hey, you said no. Make sure you mean you said no. And also to access the School of the Arts financial aid application, it's you just go back into the application again and select start a new application, and you'll see a 2026 financial aid application there, and you can start it there.
All right, JM,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm
Thank you
JM.
so much for having me. I came to the open house on November 16th. And just Jamal is my name, just in case you see me sending emails or anything, Jamal Levine. They mentioned the printmaking scholarship. And I'm applying for the master's MFA in visual arts. So I'm sending out my painting portfolio. I wanted to know, did I have to send an additional portfolio to apply for the printmaking fellowship or scholarship, or what that process was? And could you combine that with financial aid? I'm New York based, so I kind of I understand definitely like not offering housing for New York, so that's definitely fine with me. But I just want to know about the printmaking. Well, what would the process be for that? Because that's something they mentioned in November.
So you actually have to apply to the printmaking concentration in order to be considered for that scholarship. So
Okay.
if you applied to painting, that's fine, but you should also then submit a separate application for printmaking.
Okay.
Only
So
students who are admitted in printmaking get that additional scholarship
so
support.
that's just for printmaking the program. Okay. So
Your
if you would
scholarship,
go,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, continue, please.
No, I was saying, so if you're applying for that, if you're applying for any concentration outside of printmaking, you're not eligible for that fellowship or scholarship.
Exactly. It's a donor funded scholarship that is specifically for printmaking students. We have 4 printmaking students every year that are admitted, and those are the only students who are eligible for that specific scholarship.
Okay, and about, no, I don't know if you mentioned this already, about how many work opportunities per year, like are they like, do you guys offer once you come in? Say if you wanted to combine it along with your scholarship or financial aid.
Yeah, visual arts students automatically have a service position that is awarded to you. And
Okay,
what the service position is depends upon which concentration you're in. So if you're a printmaker, you're probably going to be working in the print shop. If you're if you're in expanded practice, you're probably working in one of one of the shops. So,
okay,
but yeah, every visual arts student who wants to work in a service position will have the opportunity to do so. And those positions, again, they're between $23 and $25 an hour.
okay, that sounds good. And then also just some of the slides that you were showing earlier, will we be able to receive it to go over it?
Absolutely. We can send the deck after this meeting. So
Okay, thank you so much. That's it for me. Thank
absolutely.
you.
Well, nice to meet you all. Victoria? Victoria?
Yes. Hi, sorry.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us. This is great. May I please ask you, I know I'm sorry if it's like a too bold question, but this entire process like seems obviously complicated. Obviously it is, but I was just wondering, like, what do you think, like personally with your experience, what are the odds that international students actually get the loan compared to USA student? Because I'm based in Europe and obviously I would love to, but I'm just thinking of like mathematical chances of me getting it.
So you mean getting into the program or getting, you said getting the loan. What
Yes, the scholarship.
Oh, getting scholarships. Okay. So
Mhm.
international students and domestic students have exactly the same chance of getting scholarships. We don't, reserve a certain amount for students who are here versus students who are from other countries. It's the same need and merit component where the faculty admissions committee will rank students based on the how they view the application, and then we review the financial aid applications to determine what your need score is. But you have the same chance as an international student of getting scholarships than you would if you were domestic.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. May I just quickly ask you one more question? Um, do you have any like preferences in terms of age? Because I know that in Europe to get this type of things, it's always better to be a little bit like, more older and with years in the industry. Do you also have this type of preferences?
No preference at all. We have students who range from right out of undergraduate, some, 21 to students in their 60s. So there's
Mhm.
absolutely no preference. You should apply when you feel you're ready to start the program.
Okay, of course. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Huey?
I think you're on mute, Huey.
Sorry. Hi. I just wanted to ask, what are the teaching responsibilities for like TA positions for like writing in their second and third year?
So you mean what are they actually teaching?
No, like what are like the whole like the holistic responsibilities? Is that an appropriate question to ask
We're
for
probably not the best people to answer it. I would recommend that you reach out to the writing program, um,
okay.
writing at columbia.edu. They should be able to answer that better than we could. We can tell you what the funding is, which is about $4,300 in scholarship support and about
Okay.
$2,500 in salary. But in terms of what the specific responsibilities are, what types of classes you would be teaching, they would certainly know better than we would. So.
Great, thank you. And are there any I've heard a lot about theater and so on and so forth. Are there any scholarships unique to writers or like nonfiction writers in particular?
I'm trying to think. I mean, pretty much every concentration has some scholarships that have been designated by donors to go towards students in that concentration. But you don't have to apply for them separately. So you would actually apply through the normal scholarship application process, and then we would consider you for those automatically.
All right, thank you. And then one more question. I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, but you said that Columbia offers a JD MFA route as well.
So the JD MFA is only available within the theater management and producing concentration. That's the only one that has that joint degree. So unfortunately, it's not for the writing program yet. I think
All
a
right,
lot of people would love it, but we don't have it yet. So,
appreciate it. Thank you.
hey, you're welcome. Louisa? Louisa? Can you hear us? All right, well, let's move on to Imani, and then we can come back to Louisa.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for doing this. I was curious, what are the common types of TA service positions, work study positions that MFA actors were provided, just based out of curiosity?
So, I mean, you're not, I guess provided is not the word I would use because you do have to apply for them. So they're not automatic.
Yes.
I don't know, but just
Are available.
yeah, so you could decide which ones you're most interested in doing. I would say for actors, they tend to be positions within theater, either things like working in the shop, working as faculty assistants, we have what we call the space team, which are students that take care of the spaces where the classes are. So you're, making sure the spaces are ready every morning, mopping and, making sure there's toilet paper, all that kind of stuff. What are some other positions that actors do? I think we've had actors on the marketing team. Yeah, I mean, there's various things that, actors have a very, very rigid schedule. You guys are in class like all day, every day. So it's a little bit more challenging. But there are definitely positions. Almost all of the second year actors do something in terms of service position. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to apply for.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm sorry, did you call Louisa?
Did in fact. What's your question, Lisa?
I did remember the other part to my question. I just wanted to know, I know some schools do offer a waiver when you attend meetings. I don't know if I missed any information on that. Will there be a waiver for like the application?
You mean attending this meeting?
Yes.
Unfortunately, no. I love that idea, but no, we unfortunately can't. We do have some application fee waivers, but they're very specific. They're on our website, and maybe Nicolette or Kenny can throw them in the chat. There is some eligibility for application fee waivers, but it's not tied to attending.
And where does the visual arts scholarship application live?
All
And the waiver?
Yeah, so all of the scholarship applications live within the application portal. So if you're applying for visual arts, you'll see, when you go in the portal, it gives you a choice. Are you applying for visual arts? Are you applying for theater? And then there's also the 2026 financial aid application, and that's the one you want to submit.
And that would just be on Columbia app.
Yep, same application that you're submitting your application for admission for.
Okay, so when I submit my application, everything will be there as far as scholarship info.
Well, you have to. It's two different applications, so you have to start a new application to submit the financial aid application.
But it's in the same portal.
Yes.
Same place where you submit your application for visual arts or theater, whichever one it is. You'll also see an additional application, which is the 2026 financial aid application, and that's the one you need to submit if you want to be considered for scholarship.
Okay. I'm sorry because I'm dealing with different institutions. Is the early scholarship based application due January 1st? Or 15th?
It's actually February 3rd.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, when you submit your application for admission, you're gonna go into like a checklist, and there's gonna be a bright orange box that says you haven't submitted your financial aid application yet, with instructions on how to submit it. That will stay there until you submit your financial aid application. So it's a constant reminder that you have to submit this application. It's also a checklist item within all the checklist items as well. So if you're missing a letter of recommendation, if you're missing, a transcript or something, that will be another checklist item, your financial aid application.
We're going to keep reminding you and bugging you about it until you send it in. Please don't forget. All right, Sydney?
Hi, yes. Ooh. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Perfect. My question is, and I think Kenny, you mostly hit it, is like, since there isn't that TA option for theater majors, but there is internship, but it is a stipend, what are current students commonly doing for that to just kind of bridge that gap? Are they getting jobs outside? What are current students kind of doing? Just trying to figure out what I should be doing when I do get there. And I know obviously the graduate loan is going away, so just trying to like set myself up. What are students doing right now that is seen to be successful for them?
So there's many students who work. It might even be most students who work. But there's definitely job opportunities both on campus, whether it's work study, whether it's the service positions that are part of the School of the Arts. And there's also many students that work outside of campus. So, there can be, more flexibility. You're not limited to the number of hours if you're working on an off-campus job versus on campus where you're limited to 20 hours a week. But yeah, there's students that are working in all various places. Some have jobs before they got here that they're able to continue to work, and there are other students who arrive and just get positions on campus. But there's plenty of opportunities. If you're interested in working, then there are definitely opportunities both on campus and even off campus.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's go to Angela.
Hi, thank you so much. I know you technically explained this for acting, but I was wondering for screenwriting and directing, what would like the work studies or the service partnerships look like?
So, they vary by program. I'm just trying to think screenwriting, directing. I mean, there's people who work in the film office, there's people who work in the digital media center,
The
there's
production center,
production center, people who work at the
equipment,
LensFest
the equipment
Center.
room. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some positions that film students will get.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Hale, and then we'll go back to Louisa.
I'm sorry, I'm going to lower my hand. You answered my question. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I had a question. Can we resubmit the financial aid application in the portal?
Yeah, have you submitted already?
Yeah, I did already submit it. Yeah,
Send us an email. We could unsubmit it for you. You can make any updates.
that'd be great. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's huge. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Got it. Fred? Oh, you're muted.
Unmute. Okay. I think that you answered this before, but it just didn't get into my brain here. For creative writing students, what kind of opportunities are there? I know that like teaching creative writing, I think, is one. Are there others, or is that the primary / only one for that kind of work study? And I might be using the terminology incorrectly too.
So work study positions, those are across Columbia. So that, that
Okay.
can be working in the libraries, in the gym, anywhere across Columbia. Service positions are what we call the jobs that are specific to the School of the Arts. For the writing program, there's positions that are working on the various journals. So there's Columbia Journal, there's, what are the names of the other ones? Of course, I'm forgetting right now, but there's
There's the Incarcerated Writers Project. There's initiative. So there's
CAT.
Chairs Fellows. There's CAT. Yes.
Yeah, chairs fellows that work in the writing office. There's CAT, which is Columbia Artist Teachers, people who run that, and that's teaching in various locations outside of Columbia. Our Word, that's another one of the journals. So yes, there's lots of positions within writing that are paid
Those are all paid positions?
They are.
Yes.
So like even like IWI Exchange is the journal like for the Incarcerated Writers Initiative. I think it just
IWI not as a teacher, but as a coordinator. You can
Okay.
you can get paid for that.
Wow. Okay, so clearly you guys just blew my mind like right now. I had no idea. Thank you.
Chris. Angela?
Yes, sorry, I had one last question. I know with some schools they don't allow it and some do, but if for some reason you are able to get like a work study, but you need more money, are you able to also get an outside job on top of that? Or are you only allowed the work study?
So the school does not know what you're doing out on the outside, right? So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
we don't ask, and it's like don't ask, don't tell.
Okay.
As long as you're able to make it work with the getting to class on time and getting your
Mm-hmm.
coursework done, whatever you need to do to make the ends meet, we totally understand. So the only limit to the number of hours, which is 20, is
Mm-hmm.
space positions. So and
Okay.
it's for both international and domestic students. So if for example you have a TA position that counts as 5 hours, so you can work another 15 hours on campus, and that's it. It's cut off at 20, except during
Hmm.
the summer and during breaks. However, if you're working, let's say you're doing a TA position and then you also have a job outside of Columbia that's 20 hours, that's totally fine as long as you can make,
Okay.
and then we don't need to know that information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And I also addressed this in the chat, but working off campus is only for domestic U.S. citizens and permanent residents. International students can't work off campus unless they have a work visa instead of um, a F1 visa.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Piper?
Hi, just to piggyback off of Fred's question, for the creative writing service work, is that something that we need to submit an application for, like prior to being accepted, or that would be something that came afterwards?
So that's something that comes afterwards.
Okay.
I should say that most of the service positions are for second and third year students. There are some that are available for first year students as well, and you would hear about them when you arrive in the fall, and you can apply for
Okay.
those. But yeah,
Thank you.
there's no separate application that you need to submit in order to be considered for those. And in fact, if you don't have need, you could still apply for service positions if you want. They're students, it's many of them are really good jobs to have on your resume. So, but yeah, you wouldn't have to deal with that until you arrive.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Lauren?
Hi, Julie. I have two questions. So the first one is that on the application page, not the financial aid application, but the regular one, under the scholarship tags page, like there's only a continue button instead of like a confirm button. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. As long as you select it and you hit continue, it saves it.
Oh, okay. And then another question that I have is that also on the regular application form, there's a section asking which other schools applicants are applying to. Is that information used at all in determining merit funding or financial aid?
That's an excellent question. It is absolutely not. It's just for our own records to know what other schools our applicants are applying to, but it is not used in any way. We don't talk to other schools. It's just good for us to know who our competitors are, to be honest. But yeah, it's not used in any other way.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Welcome. We have about 5 more minutes. Are there any questions in the chat, Kenny or Niquette, that you thought we should?
There was one question that I think Louisa asking about how they're notified about their scholarships. If you are receiving a scholarship, it will be in your admissions letter. So once you're admitted and you get your admissions letter and you receive a scholarship, you'll see it in there.
All right. Any other questions that we haven't addressed? I'm going to, go ahead. Sophie?
I didn't raise my hand. I'm sorry. Yeah, Lauren, her question made me think of something that happened while I was filling out my application. So I thought it was good to bring it up now before the meeting ends. I'll be quick. So I applied for the acting program, and I know theater is all under one general application, but something happened with one of my recommendations where I changed my recommender, and I ended up starting a new application that I've already submitted. However, I have that unfinished applications just still there. I'm not planning on submitting it because I've already submitted the acting one, the one that I initially wanted to. And maybe I'm overthinking, but I just wanted to know if having an unfinished application just there is gonna maybe look bad or something on my profile or anything like that. And if it could be deleted, but it's just there. But yeah, that was my question.
So
No.
the application committee will not see the unfinished one. The only thing that you may get after the whole admissions process is over is you may get an email from us saying, "Hey, we're just wondering why you didn't apply."
Okay, but I did apply. It's just not.
That's it.
Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, you get email asking why you didn't finish an application because we like to know why people stop in the middle of an application sometimes.
Sounds great. Thank
We
you.
want to make sure that it's not because we didn't give you enough information or you didn't have enough time or anything like that. So
Okay,
the
perfect.
committee will not see the unfinished one. So
Perfect. Thank you.
sure. Zoe?
Hi, I had a question about housing and like if we do apply for housing and get graduate housing, is there also an option that we can be an RA or no?
So as far as I know, students have not been successful at applying for RA positions. So it's not something I would count on. I seem to recall like once in a blue moon, someone will have some connection and be able to get a position, but they're very, very unusual. The undergraduate RAs tend to actually be undergraduate students. So they're, juniors and seniors that are RAs for the freshmen and sophomores. So yeah, it does not usually happen, unfortunately. Jamal?
Sorry about that. I know Kenny just mentioned the acceptance letters and scholarships being packaged together. I know that there's an interview process that happens in between that, correct? And just to know what is the timeline? Like everything is due January 20th. There's the interview process, maybe February, and acceptance letters and packages go out like March or April.
So it's for every program and even for concentrations within programs. So you're applying to visual arts, which means the application is January 20th. Some of the applications are due before that. It usually takes the admissions committee, at least a month to go through the applications. And then a select group of students are invited to interview for visual arts. And again, it's different for every program, but for visual arts, a smaller group is invited to interview. And then after the interviews, their decisions are made relatively quickly. So by mid-March, you should usually hear something.
Okay. Thank you
It
so
varies
much.
here, but yeah,
Thank you.
that's specific to visual arts. So,
Okay.
everyone is different.
All right. Thank you.
We have time for one more question. Victoria?
Oh, no, me.
Oh, hi. Okay, this might be a weird question. Everyone maybe know this already, so I'm sorry for wasting your time if so. But should we first apply for the 8 or for the course? Does it matter?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. For the 8 you're saying. Oh, yes. So the actual program has a deadline and some of them passed already. Which program are you interested in?
I'm interested in directing, but I'm aware that now was the deadline. I'm just thinking about next submission. Yeah.
So the actual program deadline, you have to apply by that time, right? So for film directing or theater directing, and then the financial aid application deadline is going to be February 3rd. So you just abide by the deadlines, but the financial aid application deadline is always after the program deadlines are due. So
okay, I understand. So obviously, and it's yearly. I cannot just apply for 2026, 27, right? It doesn't work that way. It's just
yeah,
for
the
this.
application will go live the fall of 27 on October 1st.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
So if you're applying to start in the fall of 2027, the application will go live this coming October 1st.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And it doesn't matter what order you submit it in. You could submit your financial aid application before your application for admission. It doesn't matter, but usually the application for admission is the earlier deadline, so you might want to prioritize that before submitting the financial aid application.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So it's 8 o'clock. I don't want to keep you all much longer. I just put in the chat the financial aid website, financial aid email address that goes to me and to Kenny and to Niquette. So if you have any further questions that we didn't answer specifically about financial aid, please send them our way and we will get to them as soon as we can. We have also recorded the session and we will have that up on our website. And we can also send the deck of the slides that I showed you prior, which has some good information on it as well. But thank you all so much for being here. It's so nice to see so many faces. We hope to see your applications in if they're not in already. Please apply. Try not to worry about the finances until you need to, but we will work with you to do our best to try to get you all to get here. So happy holidays, happy New Year, and hope to see you all in the new year.